So I've been watching the story about this Chinese-owned auto repair shop set up in Ferry in St. Catherine and how a whole heap of people are going there.
So I noticed that he needed help and I just took up a bullhorn out of the blue. Just took up the bullhorn and started calling numbers and names. And the Chinese man come here and say, you work? I say, yeah. He say, okay, you number 5.
Then the authorities started to take notice. Whole heap of stories to talk about in this one. I'm Dionne Jackson Miller. Thank you so much for joining me. Time for tea. People started to share on social media, right, that there was this new auto repair shop that they were very happy with. People were saying they were getting really good service there. And, people just started to flock to the place. Long lines of people waiting to get through. And if you're wondering why I'm specifically saying that the auto repair shop is Chinese owned, that's because it's part of the story. So let me say first, I haven't been there, not a customer. I don't expect to be. I'm very happy with my own mechanic. Thank you very much. And also, outside of some major health crisis, I don't see myself waiting hours and hours and hours to see a service provider. My colleague Ron Powell, though, got his vehicle service there. This is what he told me.
So curiosity drove me to Wholehearted Car Service off Ferry Avenue, the Chinese mechanics, them call them. And I went there the Saturday before Easter Monday, but when I went there, they were closed. So Tuesday morning, bright and early, I left home about 4:30, reached there shortly before 5 o'clock. And when I reached at that place, the line long from Nestle, for those who might be familiar with Nestle, right to the end of the road where Tropical Battery, they have a warehouse there, and Wholehearted in the middle. At the gate, waiting, wondering how I could get in. People were going in, but they were going in because they were already registered, so I had to wait for registration. Anyway, people were getting very frustrated, flustered. Persons decided that, boy, them can't bother stay. I stuck it out, and I managed to get my name on a list. And the Chinese man who was taking the names told me that I would be called or it would be WhatsApp. I never got that WhatsApp message. So Wednesday morning, back at Wholehearted Car Service, same long line, same crowd. Everybody was in a tizzy trying to get inside. Anyway, I muscled my way in. Not physically, but I decided that I'm going to go in there. I managed to reach inside, and I still didn't have a number in my hand. And what I did, I think it was revolutionary. I noticed that the Chinese man, they have a problem with the language. They speak Chinese, a little English. But then I noticed somebody was using Google Translate, and that was the secret. So I downloaded Google Translate and started talking to him. I talking to him in English, in text, and Chinese, the reverse, and he understood me. So I noticed that he needed help, and I just took up a bullhorn out of the blue. Just took up the bullhorn and started calling numbers and names. And the Chinese man will come here and say, you work? I say, yeah. He say, okay, you number 5. That was how I got that number. And I waited a little longer. It was about after 10 o'clock. I eventually was told that I could bring my car inside. So I drove inside, waited for a short period, put it on the stand, and 2 Chinese men came and started assessing it. I see they put it, hook up the car, the dashboard with a little plug onto what looked like a tablet. Turned out to be a diagnostic tablet. And this was what they were using to assess the car. So I asked him what was the outcome of the diagnostic check, and he told me that my car needed to be replaced with 2 oxygen sensors, a catalyst converter, and that my rear side airbag needed to be changed. I asked him how much he think this may cost me. So I see he went over to another Chinese man who seemed to have been the manager, and they spoke, and he came back and told me that it would take me $30,000, not more, but maybe less. But I'd have to buy the parts. I made a quick call to a friend who knows about cars, and the answer was that me getting a deal.
People are asking if a Jamaican-owned garage would have got this much attention and saying, look, Jamaican people frightened for anything foreign. I'm not trying to say that's so or not. I am, though, saying I think there's more to it than that. Some people are saying, though, that you get the crowd is because Jamaicans just foreign mind. I want to check out a place owned by a foreigner.
It might be true. I won't dispute it. It might be true. I think one of the things I've learned over life is that anything that is novel, people always flock to it. So I think a lot of persons are curious as to what exactly they would see, what the place looked like, what type of equipment they had, and all of that. So I think that would have been one of the drawing cards. But I think the biggest drawing card or the biggest pull was the social media the viral nature of it that went, and people decided to say, why not? People came from Montego Bay, people came from Manchester, Clarendon, St. Elizabeth. I could tick off probably the 14 parishes right across Jamaica. Persons left their home in the wee hours of the morning to come and say how best they can get some assistance from these Chinese mechanics.
So let's be clear, we have seen Jamaicans get into a frenzy over sophisticated and slick marketing of foreign-owned goods, right? That, in my opinion, turn out to be sometimes absolute nonsense. But that's not what this was, right? This wasn't some slick marketing campaign dreamed up by some expensive marketing firm. This was social media and word of mouth, very, very organic. I mean, I saw videos of people in line, some hell of a long line, you know, and people saying how they had been there from 3 o'clock in the morning just to try to be seen that day.
But why would somebody be in a line for 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours waiting to be seen there, and you could go somewhere else?
I think word of mouth is a powerful thing, and I suspect they may have been speaking to a number of other people who may have had their cars looked at and got assessed or repaired, and they decided that what they heard or the feedback that they got, that it was worth staying. One of the issues though is that our drawback or disappointment would be that they weren't able to deal with the what you'd call huge technical repairs to the vehicle, like if you wanted to move a rack and pinion or a strut or so, they wouldn't be able to do it unless you brought your parts. So they would assess your vehicle and you'd have to now leave the compound and then come back to have your car repaired. What they would have done though is that they made a notification on your paperwork to say you are here, and that the secretary should allow you, when you come back with your parts, to get back the car the same day. For most of the people who I spoke with, I can't speak for all, for sure, but most of the people I spoke with, they got back their car repaired the same day, and I'll be very honest with you. I have not heard anybody up to recent time having a negative feedback. It possibly could be, but I have not heard it.
My colleague Ramarda Lyons from TVJ interviewed one woman who parked up outside the people them place 9 o'clock in the night. Said she wanted to be first in line the next morning. He did say police came and moved her, so I don't know what did happen with her in the end. Hope she got through. And we've certainly seen Jamaicans line up in long everlasting line for donuts. So I'm not trying to say what people will and will not line up for. I'm just saying I think there's something more going on here than just foreign mine. I think one of the things we almost kind of accept as a price for living in Jamaica is terrible customer service. Honestly, it's like if you can't pay premium price for some of the most expensive things, then you're expected to put up with crappy customer service. People are rude to you, people will ignore you, right? People have your things that won't give you back, and on top of that, face it with you. Does that apply to all service providers in Jamaica? No, obviously not, but it does apply to all heap. And there have been all kinds of ways in which people trying to get their car fixed say, look, they've been ripped off, whether it's that they've said them buy new car parts and those car parts weren't installed during service. Again, not trying to say that we don't have good, decent, honest Jamaican mechanics. Oh, clearly I'm not saying that, since I already told you mine is one of them. But people do have their experiences, and a lot of these experiences were being shared during this whole conversation about the Chinese auto repair shop.
I wouldn't say I've had major bad experiences with local mechanics. For the most part, I would have taken my car to them. The only challenge I would have had, it had taken too long for it to be repaired, and then the cost, I needed it, so I would have had to pay to get it fixed. So the cost, maybe, I might have to have dipped into my pocket a little bit deeper to have it done. But in terms of local mechanics versus the Chinese mechanics, I think it's really in terms of the turnaround time, and yes, I think cost is a factor from what I have seen, I've heard, and in my personal opinion, from the diagnostic checks that was made and the price that was quoted.
Dealer servicing, in my experience, offers fantastic service. When you drive out a dealer place after them done with your car feel new, but you also tend to have high fees associated with that kind of servicing. So if people hear about a professional auto shop where your problem can be diagnosed and fixed, at a reasonable cost, especially in comparison to what you might be charged elsewhere, of course they're gonna go. And that's a real issue here, and I'm seeing it in a lot of areas. A lot of micro and small businesses have held us captive for years. because we can't do no better, right? There's no point you feel in leaving one service provider if the other one is going to be just as bad. But if you start to give customers real choice, now you have a problem. Look, we need to get serious, all right? Our businesses need to have better equipment. We need to have more skilled craftsmen and craftswomen. We need better customer service. And I know some of that calls for investment of capital, but trust me, in at least the area of customer service, that call for no capital and then can do better. And cost is important, but it's not always about the lowest cost. Try to find a really good plumber, a really good cabinet maker and see how hard it is to get them booked for months in advance because people want good service. And they do also understand that when you're getting really good service, the cost might be a little bit more than average. People do expect that.
What about the customer service?
Customer service, there is a little difficulty, I would say, and that difficulty rests in the language barrier. And two, it was clearly evident that the Chinese mechanics were not ready to have this large crowd converging on them. Last time I had checked, I would have heard and seen they had posted a notice that 800 vehicles were still out there left to be repaired and passed on to their owners. So they were overcome by the huge crowd, and the language barrier, as I said, made it very, very difficult for them. Customer service wise, they have a waiting area for persons who could come. You can buy a drink. They have a little snack shop there. No restaurant, but a little snack shop. You can get water and other beverages. But the location is too small for so many people. So they would not be able to meet the demands that confronted them. So that is a challenge. But customer service on a whole, you'll be able to get your vehicle assessed, and then from there you move to the cashier area. After your vehicle has been completed, you pay, and then you're out of there. So customer service, I would give them, a good mark for customer service, but the language barrier is really a challenge, and that is causing a serious problem for them. Persons get frustrated because they're not able to converse with them, and those who don't know how to use Google Translate, it will be a challenge for them.
Having said that, the government is now investigating reported regulatory breaches at the auto repair shop, including whether or not the worker them have work permit. Look, I cannot support this, none at all. How this big shop, and I want a little roadside shack, big shop set up on one of the major roads in the entire country. And there are questions about whether or not the paperwork is in order. Come on, that's crazy. Do better than that. Having said that, let's see what happens here. Let's see how it pans out. What's the outcome? What's going to happen to everybody concerned? Because whatever happens, I think there are lessons here for us. I think there are lessons for micro and small and medium-sized business. I think there are lessons for consumers. So let's see what happens. So what do you think? Drop your comments below as always. Remember to be civil. Like the video, please. Share it with somebody you think might be interested. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. And also, click the notification bell so you know anytime I drop a new video. I'm Dionne. Thanks for watching. Back to my tea.